Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Geetinder Goyal, he's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. Dr. Goyal has a great practice. I think is very cutting edge. I really think is disruptive in a great way and has the potential of changing healthcare if we can emulate it around the country, which is why I've brought him on to be a regular contributor. And he's bringing on great guests that help support this kind of model. And so I'm very excited about our guest today. I think it's going to be a great segment. And Dr. Goyal's website, by the way, OurWayHealth.com. His practice is on the west side of Houston. And as always, good to see you.
Good to see you, Kevin, and I'm so excited to have Mr. Ed Jacobsen with us today. I have heard about Ed from a dear friend of mine, Jake Hampton, who is president of Free Market Medical Association, and it's been my endeavor for a few months now to, get to meet Ed, and I'm so glad he's here today.
Yeah, I am too. Ed, why don't you just start off with your elevator speech?
Starting on the first floor?
Yeah, we're going to go one floor on this elevator.
One floor,
speech.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad you asked that, though, because apparently a lot of people offer some very long, tall buildings. So.
Well, I have been involved with healthcare since I graduated college many years ago, and have seen a lot of change over the years. Let me just comment about one thing. I was a Massachusetts Mutual Group and Pension representative. And the first group that I wrote when I was assigned to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the single employee premium paid for by the employer was under $7 an employee a month.
What?
I'm 160 years old.
Apparently.
And dependent coverage was less than $20 a month.
Wow.
Back then, we delivered a 10% rate increase. At the end of the first year, they moved from Mass Mutual to New York Life.
Wow.
It was 70 cents. So compared to what we see today, I'm shocked, disturbed. I feel as if spending as many years as I have in this profession, I feel almost like a doctor whose patients are all dying on me.
Yeah. And they almost have every incentive to in light of the current system.
Correct.
and I'm going to let Dr. Goyal have a couple of questions next, but I do want to follow up with that. What year was that, by the way, just to put it in context?
Okay. 1964.
1964. Wow. Go right ahead, Geetinder.
Ed, please tell us about Entrust, because Entrust is a known entity in the Houston area. But tell us about what you guys do.
Well, we are best described. A lot of people say we're a third-party administrator. But that's the function that we perform. What we are is an employee, employer, and broker resource. We have computer systems that process claims. We have benefit administration systems that do everything, including ACA compliance. We have in-house actuaries to in-house ERISA attorneys and a compliance staff. We have a research department headed by a PhD who graduated from the University of Houston and has his staff. So we manipulate data trying to arrive at the advantages, in most cases, of self-funding. When an employer self-funds, they have the opportunity to shed an insurance industry mentality and approach things from a business perspective.
By the way, his website is entrustinc.com. Geetinder?
Ed and I had the opportunity to just conversate briefly a few minutes before we got on the air, and we were talking about the importance of health literacy for our consumers and health transparency for our consumers. Talk about that a little bit, Ed, please.
Well, it's impossible to try and control healthcare costs for either the individual or the employer and their benefit plan when you treat your employees and their families as if you dropped your children off at the mall, gave them your credit cards, and said, "Have a nice day."
Sounds like a nightmare to me.
I've been there. It is absolutely necessary for employees and patients to have skin in the game that's in an affordable way and have continued skin in the game. In other words, if today we're seeing most employers in the Houston area introducing their employees to a plan that has a $5,000 or $6,000 deductible, saying that, well, you can set up an HSA. It's impossible, number one, for employees who are making less than $50,000 a year and trying to live on that to set aside money for an HSA. So to many of those employers, their basic needs are not met. The employees, their basic needs are not met. What we've done is, stepping outside the insurance industry mentality, is we have, years ago, I created a different type of deductible. We call it a family monthly deductible. Mm-hmm. And I hate to tell you, but I created it in 1966 when everybody had a $100 deductible, and a 3 per family, so it was $300 per year. But here's the problem with an annual deductible. Once I've satisfied that, I'm looking for a return on investment, especially when today I'm contributing more toward the cost of the program. When I got into the industry, the employer was the majority stakeholder in the health plan cost. That's not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. So the question is, who is the customer? Is the customer the employer, or is the employer the conduit and the employees are the customer? And
pretty muddied, isn't it?
Yes, and the customers are unhappy right now.
Yeah, the actual tactical customer, the one who's getting the, quote, service. And so, absolutely. By the way, are you strictly in Texas, or are you in other parts of the country as well? Or
we're regional. We have associations with other third-party administrators where we've shared ideas and tried to cumulatively, well, boy, I'm having a rough one. There was a lot of traffic. Thank you. Appreciate that. We tried to come up with solutions that made sense through our experiences, as a result of our experience.
You know, and by the way, we were kind of presumptuous. I mean, Dr. Goyal's on my show all the time, and so we talk about third-party administrators, and it's not just a risk management tool. It's just a very sensible way for businesses and the employees that work for them to own their health care. That's why it's so important. You know, and so just for the listener to be able to understand, it's very different from traditional insurance because you can really own outcomes in a way that you can't own with insurance. It's really, really a very important model.
It's different, but very similar.
Right.
The reason being, you can only assume risk one way. And most employers who are 50 or 100 or larger, employees participating, are called self-rated employers. And that basically means that they're going to be experiencing their rate adjustments based on the experience, to a great extent, of their particular group. Well, the line between self-rating and self-funding is really a legal status rather than a way to assume risk. Self-funding basically says, if I, as an employer, have no direct relationship with an insurer or a health plan, meaning that a insurer or health plan does not pay claims on behalf of my plan participants, then I'm not insured, I'm self-insured. Mm-hmm. Even if I were to, as a ridiculous example, go to a major carrier and say, look, I'm going to self-insure my plan, and I would like to buy coverage that where you reimburse me 100% of everything I spend. Now, it would be ludicrous because everyone knows that insurance is cost plus, claims plus administration. But if they were to do that, it could still be a self-insured plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it has nothing to do with the way you assume risk. It has to do with the legal status. There is no direct relationship between the employer between a licensed health insurance company or health plan and a plan participant working for that employer.
Fantastic segment. Intrustinc.com is our guest link, and ourwayhealth.com is how you reach Dr. Goyal. Wrap it up for us, Dr. Goyal.
This is excellent for me to learn, and hopefully excellent for our listeners to learn. I just want to shift gears a little bit. And Ed and I were talking about this, that the foundation has to be primary care, and I think primary care physicians are our most powerful allies that our patients can have, and I think we need to go direct contracting route, starting with primary care, to re-envision some of the healthcare in this country.
Yeah, no question about it. Ed, thanks so much for being with us. Ed Jacobsen, Intrustinc.com. Dr. Goyal, he's a regular on the program, and you can tell why. Great content every single time. Ourwayhealth.com. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to wrap up the segment. Do want to remind you best content here can be found over there at usdatareview.com. Stay tuned for more right after this.